Okay, I would like to call this meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors to order at 6:02 p.m. Today is Wednesday, November 18th, 2020, and we are meeting electronically. We have 10 board members present representing 9 votes. The first item is the agenda review. Can I get a motion to, I don't have any changes. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Al.
I'll second.
Joe, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. Okay, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
of the United
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Now you have to wonder how the school district music students manage to like all play together at the same time and sing and stuff, and we can't even do the pledge. It's pretty incredible.
It calls for software, Jeff.
Okay, the next item is visitors. Do we have any visitors here who wish to address the board tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which just has the minutes from September 2nd, 2020. Does anybody need to remove those minutes for discussion? If I don't hear any objections, the consent agenda will be adopted. All right, hearing none, the consent agenda is adopted. Item 6A, COVID update. Kevin.
Thanks, Jeff. Good evening, everybody. A few things to update you on since the last time we talked. We did learn today that we have our third case of a COVID case, this one being at SATEC. I'm noticing a trend here that we seem to get the case on the days of our board meetings. So, but from what I understand, again, it's being handled well. This is a person who hasn't been in school for a while. I don't know. I'm trying to find her. Is Angela here?
I am. I'm right
Angela,
here,
do you
Kevin.
have anything to add to that?
No, just what you said. We were fortunate that individual just took good action and wasn't even around anyone prior to having symptoms. So we just the way the timing fell. So we were very fortunate, and so just hoping for their speedy recovery. And yeah, so I guess we're all just trying to figure out kind of this new world and dealing with this. And so, yeah, so that's about it, I would say.
Thanks. The second case, which you learned about at the last meeting, I was notified that all those cases have finally come back, any contact tracing, and we're all negative. So it was just that the individual themselves. Again, we know this is coming up. It's coming up through all of our school districts. It's not if, it's when, and it's to make sure that we have good protocols in place. And so far, those protocols have done us well as we move along. A few other things, 3rd and 4th graders are now back. And from my understanding, everything was very smooth. Kids are great, glad to be back. We're now looking at continuing to look at for our 5th and 6th graders, which would be after Thanksgiving, the Thursday after Thanksgiving, if nothing changes, either with the governor or with anything with our own criteria that we have as far as moving forward. But right now, that's the plan. Just a reminder to the board of the 3 the three criteria that we're using to decide how to move forward or if to move forward. And one is, do we have appropriate staffing? And relative to staffing, I would tell you the same thing I told you a few weeks ago. It's adequate presently, but it's fragile. And we're never sure from day to day if we have people who have to quarantine or who get sick, but at the moment it's adequate and we are able to move forward. The second thing is whether our health and safety guidelines and precautions are in place, whether they're working well, whether they're well practiced. And that's a source of pride to us right now, because I think in all our schools, we're doing a good job with that. And we're feeling very comfortable. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is why I think we've minimized any issues and contained things when we do have a case. And the third area is just our continued collaboration with DOH, Department of Health, who talked to us about metrics around infections in the community and whether they feel it's still appropriate to continue or not. And so far that those metrics have stayed underneath where they need to be, and they've told us to move forward. So that's where we are as of today at 6:08 p.m. on Wednesday. I have to say, I have a little bit of concern about vacation and how and if that will change anything moving forward. As we all know, there's probably Nilda and Steve better than most. If you've traveled, you have to quarantine afterwards. And everybody knows that. And I'm hoping we can just stick to that, because if we have a lot of people quarantining and going against the recommendations of the state, then we may not be able to hit number one of that criteria after Thanksgiving. But right now, from everything we've seen, from people we've talked to in our staffing, we're hearing that people are hanging tight at home and doing their Thanksgiving at home. So hopefully it'll stay that way. The final thing I just want to mention is yesterday, the state has put into a procedure where every staff member within the schools throughout the state are to be tested for COVID. We had the tests arrive yesterday, and thanks to our nurse, Val, and Kathy Stetz, another nurse from SATEC, they did a mobile unit and went around to every single school. You had to register ahead of time. We had somewhere in the vicinity of 330, 340 staff members who took the test. We, as Nilda kind of mentioned earlier before the meeting, we are not going to know those test results for a while, but I think it's really good to have that opportunity to do that, and for people to feel comfortable that they may not be walking around with this and not knowing it. And this is supposed to be done on a monthly basis now. So it'll happen again in December, and they haven't worked out the details about how that'll get done yet. But so on a monthly basis, people can be tested.
And I think
That's
the plan
my,
I was going to say, I think the goal there is that by testing in schools, they'll get a representative sample of the whole state. So,
yeah, so it's representative of the community they're in.
yeah.
That's my talk. Are there any questions?
Any board members have questions for Kevin?
That testing's voluntary, correct, Kevin?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Kevin. The next item is 6B, to select the superintendent search committee members. And I'd like to move that into executive session under 1 VSA 313A3. The appointment or employment of a public official. And we do not need a finding for that. So we'll move that to executive session. 6C, negotiations update. Bill?
Yes, I hope things stay stable here on my end of the internet.
You sound good.
Okay, how about when I have my video on? Is it staying with it? Yeah, good. Okay. Thanks for testing that. Let me know if it gets jumbled. We have been able to set dates with the association for both ESP and teacher negotiations. I've been working with the board committees on finding times for prep meetings and for our first negotiation date where we'll go over ground rules and set the rest of the dates. We're starting here in December, and on December 7th, the ESP board team will meet with the association for ground rules, and we're having a planning meeting on November 30th. And I know Brenda's on the posting of that, as we have to post just the subcommittee of the board. And then for the Teachers Association, we have a planning meeting on December 9th. We just got that settled. And the first negotiation meeting to set ground rules and look at other dates will be December 15th. I don't know if there's any other questions. That's a quick update of just where we are with timeline.
Nope, that sounds good. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Bill. Next item, 7A, board member terms. And that's me. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew whose terms were going to be up in March, because I was especially worried if, people had to get petitions signed. So the people whose terms are ending, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brenda, is Sue, Nilda, Steve, and myself. So we all have terms that will be ending on town meeting day. I've checked with the city clerk, and they say that petitions do not need to be signed for 2021 to get onto the ballot for municipal elections. So that's good for all of you. You just need to fill out a consent form. Did you say something, Al?
Nope.
Okay, sorry. And if you've run before, you've seen the consent forms, and just list your name that's going to be on the ballot and stuff. And those are due by 5 p.m. Monday, January 25th. And I would encourage you to get those in early. And then the last item I have is just that I'm not going to be running for re-election. So for anybody who's watching this, there will be a seat from St. Albans City that's up. And for board members, you'll have to think about, who you want as your next board chair. Anybody have questions? Okay. Item 7B, an update on healthcare changes. Martha.
Yeah, so I was asked to kind of give an overview of what the changes were between the statewide bargaining agreement that goes into effect January 1st and what we currently have. So to start out with, the 4 health insurance plans that are offered by VHI, there are no changes to the actual health insurance plans. There's absolutely no changes in what's covered, what isn't covered. The plans themselves are the exact same plans that we currently have. The first, I'm just going to kind of go through the agreement and point out the areas where it's different from what we currently have. The new agreement effective January 1 allows for domestic partners to be covered on this health insurance coverage, which that is new. So that may be an added cost to our school district. The prorated health insurance benefit for part-time employees, that's the same as it currently is. The there is a difference with the employer contributions to the health reimbursement arrangement account. That in the past was always prorated based on the employee's part-time position. That is now paid in full and it's not prorated. So if we have somebody who is not 100% employee, they get the full HRA and HSA benefit. So that may be a little bit of an added cost. The premium share is 80% district payment, 20% employees. That's the same as what we currently have. So there really was no change there. The one slight difference to that is if an employee is on the silver CDHP plan, which is the, I don't want to say the lowest cost plan because the cost is creeping up on that one, but that one, it's 80% of the premium of the silver plan, which in the past, the district always paid 80% of the gold CDHP and applied that amount against all 4 plans. Now it's the gold CDHP gets applied against the platinum, the regular gold, and the gold CDHP. But if somebody is enrolled in the silver plan, the district pays the 80% of the silver plan. It's a slight difference. It's not going to be a huge money changer. The next item is that all plans are eligible for HRA coverage, which in our current plan, you could only have an HRA if you were on either the gold or silver CDHP plan. This agreement has HRA available to all for all plans. The amount that the district is covering is slightly less than what our current plan has. We currently are paying $2,500 for a single plan and $5,000 towards a family or 2-person plan. This one will be covering for licensed administrators and teachers. You will get $2,100 and $4,200 versus the $25,000 and $5,000, which is, so it's slightly less than what we are currently paying. And for support staff, that amount is $2,200 for a single tier and $4,400 for anything above a single tier. And these are all paid first dollar by the employer. The HSA is available only with the silver CDHP plan, which we currently have the HSA available for both gold and silver. So the HSA is only available for the silver plan now. And the silver plan, the HSA is paid out, is made available to the employee in full in January. Whereas our current process for HSA payment out is we disperse it out throughout the school year based on the payroll process. So that's another slight difference. Those are the major issues. I don't know if I've missed anything. I think I've pretty much covered everything. And Bill, if you think I missed something, speak up. But I'm pretty sure those are the major changes and really the ones that will affect the school district.
Okay. Any board members have questions?
I do. So
Joanna.
Martha, am I understanding that where you said that there was I'm assuming a cost savings is the HRA, where you said there was like $400 per individual and $800 per family. Is that where we see the savings as it becomes a larger group? You know what I mean? As far as the state goes?
For us, that will be a savings. For other school districts in the state, maybe not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we were kind of fortunate that what they ended up settling on was fairly close to what we currently have.
Okay.
There are some school districts out there that had considerably different coverages. They had coverages where support staff could probably only get coverage for a single person. So this says that this allows for all staff to be covered in all plans for any tier that they're eligible for. Some districts didn't pay any or only small amounts towards either an HSA or an HRA. We were pretty comparable. We were actually funding it a little bit more than what was settled on.
So have you done any kind of rough numbers on what the savings could be? I mean, 400 per person and 800 per family could really come out in our favor.
It could. I have not run any numbers yet. I have
Okay,
not.
just wondering.
Yep.
It sounds promising.
Yeah.
And then the other changes that Martha will be looking at will be the change in rates.
Right.
So,
And, also, we might mitigate we might have some savings with that out-of-pocket coverage, but then there were other things that are going to probably cost us more with the added, domestic partners that can be covered, and that HSAs are paid in full, no proration for staff that are not full-time. So that's going to be an added cost that we didn't have before. So it's, we will see some savings, but I'm not going to say it's going to be huge.
What is the domestic partner criteria? Just curious.
Oh, they've got a really long,
Oh yeah,
like
you don't need to.
well, no, it's like a about 6 or 8 point that you have to meet all of these criteria, and you have to follow all these regulations to do that. And employees need to understand that if they do cover a domestic partner, there is going to be some personal income tax implications on that, because the HSA, HRA are federal benefits, and federal does not recognize domestic partners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Martha.
You're welcome.
Item 7C, construction update. Bill.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. I'm gonna let have Brenda share her screen. She's got the presentation for tonight, because then I can just talk over and hopefully my video will keep the internet going. This is a great night tonight. Tomorrow's our opening day at BFA. I wish the only thing that makes me a little uneasy about it is if we had our normal board schedule and could have been in person, we could have been at BFA for the board to see it. So we hope to give you a glimpse of it. We're going to try a movie as well. And if the movie doesn't work, I'll paste in the comments a link to the YouTube movie I posted. So yeah, thanks, Brenda. This is the new entrance. As you can see, you see the nice glass surround and entryway with a storefront that's there. That literally went in 2 days ago. That's what's been holding us up. It's almost 15 to 20 days late. And we found out that actually that's probably, we got lucky with some of the pieces, because it's much later for other folks for storefront aluminum storefront, along with thermal and safety glass. It's a combination of safety glass and thermal broken glass. So we have high R value in the glass, both on top and around the doors. You see the columns are going in right now, and we'll be using this front door starting November 30th. So the Monday after Thanksgiving. We need to finish the trim. As you can see, the different, that kind of beige color, that will be turned white, and there'll be a nice Academy sign over that. And then in the right-hand picture, you can see some of the columns. They're still putting up the columns and finishing the fascia and freeze boards around the west side of the connector. So Brenda, if you can go to the next one. This is the bus loop. A little different last time. We didn't have the roof done. The bus loop is all set. We're actually going to start using it tomorrow with the buses. We won't be parking any cars in here until after Thanksgiving, but we're going to get, the bus company's been around it a few times with buses, but we're going to give them 4 days of students just to get used to dropping them off and not having any cars in that lot. We'll be coming down Ferris Street tomorrow and entering from that direction. You can go ahead to the next slide. So here's the interior. You can see it. I took a shot from the north end. That's the one where you just see the floor, which we have this beautiful concrete floor, which I think will look better in the video. And the other one is from the south side at the main office. It's just gorgeous. We had some kids in there today. Brett will be showing all of you something probably hopefully by the end of the week of our grand opening that's happening with kids. So
They had a picture of it in the Mercury today and it looked awesome.
yeah, it is really, really good. And the floor was redone this past Friday because we had to redo the finish, the last coat of finish. There's, I think, like 5 layers of epoxy on top of the concrete. So it's just gorgeous. And hopefully we can get you guys in there soon to see it because it's just really worth it. And for the community to see it as well with all their support through the bond. If you can go to the next one, Brenda, that'd be great. So Matt Bloom, our Dean of Students, I captured a shot of him. He was trying to duck out of the way and I told him he couldn't. He is in the office that's in the middle of the connector so that he can quickly support students and help kids during class changeovers and things like that. He was getting his office organized as I took a shot of him probably about 9:30 this morning. And then you can see in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the attendance clerk desk along with the entrance window, transaction window that's there. We'll have both the interior doors and exterior doors will have switches on it for folks coming from the Main Street side. And then there are, the doors are all security controlled for the bus side as well. And today they were putting in the last pieces making sure those security doors worked and worked for handicap accessibility. And the bottom, I showed you a picture similar like this, but didn't have glass and doors in it. Last time I showed you some photos back in October, but this is a look at the conference room, Matt Bloom's office, and that other door is the bathroom that's right there. And you can get a better, actually, I think this picture gives a better idea of what the floors look like. It's incredible. It's impressive. I know that Brett is working with the students and with Dee Christie and other teachers for starting to put things on the walls, but that's going to be held off for a little bit till they figure out a process for all of that. Next slide. So you'll have to click, Brenda, right on the video, and hopefully we'll see a video here. And this is walking from the north end, so the old hospital side, and just kind of showing what it's like. I don't know if hopefully you guys get an idea here. It's about a 1.5-minute video down through. You can see we have a nice big area here at the north end. So we're thinking something with students and working with the students as a little commons area that went right up to the walls that were there on the exterior. You can see from the north end, it's only about 7 feet, 6 inches high. And then it gets almost down to 13 feet at the other side. It's quite a loss of elevation from the north building to the south building. Now we're coming into the central area. As you can see, you can start to see the attendance clerk's desk, and you can see the entranceway. They were working on the doors today. There's more of the connector and the Dean of Students, and that's the back entry right there that I didn't have some other pictures of. Double doors to come in from the buses or students that come in that way. And that's what it looks like. As I said, the guys were working on the automatic doors, as you can see. And we have a nice cathedral ceiling. I know Angela, our attendance clerk, is really excited about her area because there's so much natural light in there. It's amazing how few windows brought in so much light, and the job that Laz Gangas has done to really design this. I really thank Laz for that work. We have some benches that are in order right for that area where you saw the trash cans and trolleys that are going to be there as a reception area. So if someone comes and needs to meet somebody, they can come down and meet them there. Phone call. As you can see, there's some of the students that were there today, and Miss Kane and Brett Blanchard. And this is approaching the south side, and you can see how open it is walking right through. It's amazing the feeling it gives to everyone. And there's some doors back out to the east side, and then walking into the main lobby on the south campus. So that's a quick walkthrough for you. It was, I have to thank both Brett and Kevin. They gave the idea of having a nice little video, which I thought was tremendous to give everyone. I wish we could give you the actual walkthrough tonight, but I think it's the best alternative we could give you for right now. So that's the update about BFA. I want to do a little bit about Fairfield, but I just didn't know if there were any questions about BFA that people wanted to ask. Just go to
I
the
can't
next
see
slide,
anybody. Does
Brenda.
anybody have questions? Okay, go
Not a
ahead, Bill.
Just go to the next slide, Brenda. Okay, so for Fairfield, we're pretty much done. I just wanted to give one more picture. When I gave you the update in October, I showed you most of the interior, that was all done. We're finished some grading here on the backside. That's been done literally today. This picture was taken this morning. It was done yesterday. We still have some more work. We're gonna do a little bit more next spring. As I think I reported to the board last time, we'll put some bushes up there around the concrete, some cedars, so we don't look at that concrete wall, but that'll happen next spring. We'll also probably be doing some reseeding. Everything else is done in Fairfield. It's a really good project, and our clerk of the works firm that we're working with and a few other folks have said the value that we got for the dollars were really good. We're still counting all the pennies and dimes. We have 2 more pay apps. So I know someone might want to say, did we get below cost? We are still below cost. We're projected to be below cost. To give you the actual amount, I'm a little leery of doing that because, as I said, there's 2 more pay applications to go. And that's usually how it ends here at the end of construction. So just wanted to give a quick nod off to Fairfield.
Hey, Bill, how tall is the concrete? Like if you're standing up there, I don't have an idea as to how tall.
That's about
You know,
6 feet right there.
6 feet?
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
4 to 6 feet. Depends where you are, but that's why we want to cover it with cedars, and it's just best to get them in next spring.
Yeah. I was also thinking, I don't know if the PE teacher would be interested in like a traversing bouldering wall.
It's a good question. Sean can go, either
You
speak
know?
to that or ask about that.
So you got it, you know what I mean?
Great
You can
idea.
Use it.
Yeah.
I don't even know the words you just said, Joanna. What kind of what are we talking about?
So like rock climbing, but it's a traverse, you know, so you're just going across and it's just a bouldering wall. And, you know, you do it, we have one inside at Sheldon, and you do it with partners, and it's part of PE. You're not just allowed to, you know, run up there, but it's pretty cool, and you can put rock holds on it, and it's short, you know what I mean? So you're not up, you know, 10 feet into the air. But it's a great PE.
I agree with you.
Resource.
And previously I had PE teachers. My deal with them every year was when they had their elementary and middle school classes going, they needed extra belays. So call me, I'll come and do it. And I did a lot of belaying the past year. So
Yeah,
it's a good idea. I don't know why I just kind of forgotten about it, Joanna. So
it'd be fun.
Sean, we'll have to talk to the PE teacher, see if that's something that.
Oh, I think you'd love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bring my video back up. That's what I have, Jeff.
Everything looked great, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Bill, I appreciate the video particularly. It was nice to see that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Steve. Like I said, I want to find a time, and Brett has been really good about, we've been talking about a way to celebrate it. We're going to do and I don't want to spoil his thunder, so I'm going to let him, you'll see that soon. It will come out through social media. But even though when we do have a chance to get back together, I would recommend to the board that we do some way to celebrate both projects on site for both.
Yeah,
So.
no, it looks good. How big is the conference room?
In the connector, Nina?
Yeah, just curious.
It tightly, it will sit 8. It's really designed for 6. It's for a small team meeting.
Okay.
We have bigger places within BFA. It was the idea and the plan around it was a place where if people were coming in to have a meeting, that they didn't have to go all over the school. And I know for myself last year, it took me about 2 or 3 months to really understand the layout of all of BFA. So.
No, it looks nice. I like the light in there too. So I think the kids are going to be pleasantly surprised. So thank you.
Yep. It'll be fun to be there tomorrow morning to see what they're how they are when they go through.
All right, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
On to item 7D, proficiency-based grading update. We have Brett.
Thanks, Jeff. And
I guess to go along with Joanna's idea, one of the seniors thought we could use it as a bowling alley, just as fun. I vetoed
That's a
that.
great idea.
Thanks, yeah. And trust me, Bill's not stealing any thunder. I was doing my Martin Scorsese bit with some students today with the film, but like all actors, they improvised and did what they wanted. So we're going to do a little something coming out with that. But they were good sports, and it does look amazing. We'll get more information to parents about November 30th. That's really the date that concerns them, because that would be the first time they could drop students off at the front. Right now, everything is status quo with the exception of buses. So just letting you know, we'll get that out there. So I'll allow Brenda, I think, to control the presentation if she doesn't mind. And as we take a look at this, we'll take everyone through. But first, I'd like to at least virtually introduce Elaine Archibald, our guidance director, and she is here tonight despite having a very important meeting which she put off so that she could be here. And Sarah Katam, which is our assistant principal for curriculum and instruction, and they've been really instrumental in seeing that we have a really solid report card and transcript. And like everything we do, we'll always be interested in improvement and reviewing it. So the reason it says BFA teaching and learning, need to give you just a little bit of refresher or background, because the transcript and the report cards are really only there, you know, to give an assessment score on proficiency learning. So the important backdrop of information really is, where are we going and where did we go from? So if you take a look at the next slide, and if you can just tolerate a little bit of misuse of Sir Winston, really this summer, I really do believe that never in the history of education has so much been done by so few for so many in so short a time. So the staff did an amazing job. And what I'm about to show connects directly to scoring, assessment, and therefore report cards and transcripts. But it really needs to be put into context, I think, to make sense of where we end up. So, as I mentioned, we'll take a look at what was actually done this summer. So if you do the next slide, Brenda, it'd be great. So there are many, many different ways to assess, to learn, and for students to grow. And I'm not going to go through all that now, but just wanted to give a quick reminder. And at the end, we'll give another quick reminder that's really a multifaceted place. And again, the report cards that are looking really solid are just a way of scoring some of what we're doing. All right, great. If we can take a look at the next one. So one of the things we looked at as an entire building, and we should always do, which is what can we learn from last year, especially the spring with that really quick close down, and how might it translate in importance to where we want to go? So there's 5 major areas that we agreed as a building that we need to be able to incorporate that will improve what we're doing. So the first one was uniformity is important. Students, community, and parents with whom I spoke, and they spoke to other staff members, that was first and foremost. We need uniformity. Also, the importance, and the governor mentioned this on Friday, and this week again, that consistent contact with students is necessary. 3, attendance and engagement are needed. And then you have to have flexibility within that structure. So I want to be clear, 1 and 4 do go together. And then number 5, just want to say openly to everyone that's listening, teachers are irreplaceable. And I think that really was shown in the spring. And I mentioned that, and I'm not going to go into it, but that's how I build a budget. They're the most important item, if you will, for student success. So if we can take a look at then the next slide, that's what we learned from the spring. And even though by far the pandemic has had a detrimental effect on what we're doing and where society is, there were some positives. And if we don't look at what the positive opportunities are, I think we really miss out. So there were some, and there are some, and we're acting on those. So what was accomplished with instruction and scoring? The first quote, excuse me, the mistranslation of Sir Winston is because every week all summer, staff met to prepare our school for proficiency-based learning and a new schedule during an ever-evolving pandemic. I've mentioned this before, but just in case there's some new people listening, department chairs met every week. And this was something they willingly did so that we could be as well off as possible to have high-level student engagement and learning. So 3 weeks prior to the start of school, the BFA staff participated in focused in service with targeted outcomes. This connects to our report card. And it'll all hopefully come clear as we start to move along. And we were able to expedite proficiency instruction because with a new schedule, we need to look at a schedule that would work whether we're virtual, hybrid, or we're fully in person. And we do have that. And so should we, which I do not anticipate, but should we have to move to another step, we're ready to go. This 4x4, but I don't even like that phrase because it's too generic. Having 4 scheduled periods along with advisory, each period running 80 minutes, has really afforded us a lot of new opportunity, including ways to improve how we assess proficiency. So as we take a look then at the next slide, I'll let Sarah highlight some of the in-service, and there was much more than this, but this is what's going to get us to that improved report card and the improved assessment. And one piece that I'll connect on the end again, one of the most important things about proficiency-based learning is it allows clear targets to be known by everyone, clear targets to be assessed. Then when you have a report card, all the stakeholders involved, in this case, it's usually the parents, guardians, and the students, they should have a much clearer understanding than in the past of what they're being asked to do and where they are with that skill level. So Sarah will highlight some of the in-service part we did with instruction and learning to get us where we are now.
Thank you, Brett. So the teachers worked really hard during in-service to really look on focusing on the outcomes and on the specific standards and lessons that connect to those standards. You know, some teachers have been kind of teaching for a long time and they know, you know, the activities that attach to the standards very well, but in this hybrid model, some of those things needed to be modified or more closely targeted since, you know, they had less in-person time with the students to get through that. So a lot of that was kind of looking at the whole scope of what their curriculum was and really getting down to the need to know. Along with that is making sure that their assessments were something that could have a quick turnaround so that students could have feedback immediately. So being able to take an essay that may be stretched out for weeks and working on that to be able to shorten that up so that the amount of in-person time that they're able to use with the students was going to be maximized, and students are maximizing their practice around their standards and becoming proficient in that amount of time. The other thing was that teachers are having to balance in-person students and remote students for the first 30 minutes of class each day, and really doing a lot of work around how you can balance your instruction with your students that are in person and those students that are online at the same time. So what is the give and take? There was a focus on whether or not teachers were going to do one outcome or 2 outcomes per day, meaning the remote and the in-person students were working on the same objective, or if the remote and the in-person students were working on 2 different objectives. So teachers really had to make some choices. They had to kind of experiment with what was going to work best for their content area and for their classes. and learned how to engage learners in those two different learning environments. And it took a couple weeks, and they're really, really excelling in that now, and everyone's more comfortable with how it's all working. And of course, technology tools, I couldn't list all of them, but there are so many new technology tools that teachers have picked up and have developed and run with to really reach every student with different types of formats so that they can get their learning in school and when they are virtual as well.
And if I can add one point there, that I'm not aware of any teacher, any educator that went to school to learn how to teach in a hybrid model. So this idea that when I said, and Sarah's just giving you some specifics here, when I said they've worked hard, I am incredibly impressed with their professionalism and willingness to take this task on head on. And so I truly believe we're one of the models in the state, and I am on weekly meetings with the state, which means the principals. That does not ignore that we have a ton of improvement, because we always will. But I really think that may not really be out in the public, the amount of work the faculty and staff have had to put in to make sure that we're successful. So thanks.
Okay, the next slide. So going into scheduling and incompletes. So with some of the things that we had learned in the spring, we knew that kids trying to keep up with 7 classes in a hybrid model was going to be challenging. So that's when we went to a reduced course load per semester while keeping 7 classes total. What that did for our scheduling is we didn't have to reschedule the entire school because everyone still kept the 7 classes that they had originally been scheduled in. We just moved around when those classes were actually happening. And it also allowed us to have a large enrichment time, especially for this first semester, while keeping advisory and having contact every day with every teacher. I know that there's several schools around that have not instituted this contact with every teacher every day model. And I really believe strongly what we learned in the spring was that without that constant contact, students tend to get sidetracked and find other things to do other than their schoolwork. And having that accountability and that relationship with their teachers on a daily basis is really, I think, working very well for our students and for our teachers. As far as enrichment and learning from last year, we had many incompletes that we knew students were going to need time to remediate for this semester. So by allowing an 80-minute enrichment period, those students who needed to remediate classes that were incomplete last year gave them a lot of time to do that. It was not an optional kind of flip-floppy time for students. If they had incompletes that needed to be remediated, they were hard scheduled into Power School with the teacher that they needed to get remediation from. And there were 5 3-week blocks for them to do that. So a student could potentially make up 5 classes from the spring in that time. Currently, about 70% of students have recovered an incomplete class, and more time is scheduled to do that. So we have about 2 more recovery sessions that are happening.
And is everybody making progress, Sarah?
Yes, students are making progress. They are going in, they're meeting with the teachers. The teachers that they got the incompletes from are the teachers that are doing the work with those students to make up those classes. And so we have about 70% of those students have recovered incomplete classes. And like I said, with more time scheduled. So we're doing pretty well, and teachers are working really hard to go back to material from last spring and make sure that these kids are successful.
Thank you.
Take a look at the next slide, please. A grade should not be compensation, but communication. Rick or Melanie, who I have a great deal of respect for. Always good reminders. We take a look at the next slide with the community, the greater educational community, which I know offered feedback last year, and Bill's always free to speak on this issue also with Sarah, because I know that this is work that they had helped see undertaken and done, which is why are we assessing and what are we doing? So you can see there, but I'll read it just because I know it can be difficult to read for everyone in the audience probably. Why do we assess student learning? And the reason is to give feedback, to promote growth for the student and to inform instruction for the teacher. Reminder, this is the greater educational community, parents, students, giving this feedback. Why do we have report cards and progress reports? Well, reports inform stakeholders of students' progress toward graduation requirements. They also inform instruction and the need for and/or the effectiveness of interventions. And we'll see again, we're going to show you a report card and a transcript. And then why do we have transcripts? Is because that's the formal report of student learning outcomes that inform stakeholders of a student's best and next steps. And that's what gets sent forward to colleges, universities, and workplace. Next slide, Brenda, please. Again, what have we heard from the community? Well, I want to create a scoring reporting system that does the following 5 items. It needs to be easily understood. Students and parents need to know that what the scores are that are being assessed and calculated. They should be standardized. They should create a wider range of scores so that they can have a proficient score that is more standardized and accurate. And then needs to be it needs to clearly communicate to students what achievement level they're at. And then when you send that on to the post-secondary institution or the workplace, it gives them a much clearer idea than, let's say, transcripts, well, not that long ago. Yes. Then I'll add that's part of another thing that was agreed upon last year is that we need a letter grade. Take a look at the next slide. I was just pausing, wasn't sure if somebody's going to comment. So we will, then I'll let Sarah take a look at this. I'll just set it up, which happens to be, we have the scoring rubric on the left. We have the scores on the right, and the key points are in the middle that connect with the previous slide.
So the scoring guide is the BFA scoring guide. This is the standardized guide that's used across all of the departments in order for students and parents and everyone to understand what each of those proficient levels means. And then to the other side, you have the translation of those PPA, GPA points into letter grades.
Next slide, please.
Okay, so this is a copy of the report card that just went out on Friday. Friday is when we had our report cards live and ready to go for Q1. So a Q1 class is half a credit. It's equivalent to a full semester in our old schedule. Okay, if you can wrap your head around that. So because we have double the time in our periods, a quarter class equals a semester class, which is half a credit. So if you look at this report card, you'll see, of course, you have the comments, we have the new grade scale, we have what the individual proficiency scores and scales mean. And a notable difference that you'll see is that at the top, you'll see the completed courses, completed course scores. That's a course that was a quarter long, okay? And you can see that there is an A+. Because that course is completed, it shows as a letter grade, and then it shows the credit. And then down below, you have each of the standards proficiency scores for both the quarter long classes and the semester long classes. The semester long, which is shown in S1, are a full credit course that will turn into a letter grade at the end of the course upon completion. You'll also notice that we now have decimal points to the 10th place. That is part of our new, more accurate scoring. We no longer are rounding our scores to the next whole number. So we instituted the halves, and then we also are using decimals to the 10th place when we're averaging, so that we're losing another level of rounding so that we have more accurate reporting.
Sarah, can I add something?
Yes.
This is Bill. I just want to add for all of you that a lot of this was determined last winter when we had the community forums. I couldn't change everything in the middle of the year last year. So this 10th place using integers for scoring for a course score average and using the half point steps were all things that we determined through our community forum and outreach and taking all that and then working with the department heads to come up with a system. So
I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead, Sue.
So my question is, so before they had, I guess I don't understand the 10th points. Like, so for reading, that's like they've averaged a bunch of different learning objectives together to get that 3.7?
Yes, so a student would have several assignments for the reading standard. Each of those assignments would receive a score. And then those scores are averaged to get your 3.7.
So the scores are averaged at the end of the quarter?
Yes.
All right. So that's different than how it was done maybe previously, because previously it was done, whatever the score was at the end of it was actually the end of the semester, not the end of the quarter, but since a quarter is essentially one full semester, it's an average of the scores that they got throughout that quarter versus how they ended up at the end of the quarter.
Well, it's actually an average of the last 10 grades. And then the teacher is able to use trend scoring. So if a student is showing that they're making progress and they have a body of evidence that's showing what that progress is by the end of the quarter, then the teacher is able to score it based on that evidence. But it is not every score since the very beginning. It's the last 10 scores.
and Sarah, can I just say to Susan, the scoring methodology, so how we determine the score has not changed. What's changed is we're looking at quarters versus semesters. So we used the exact same scoring methodology last year with the average of the last 10, and that if the trend scoring showed it should be higher, the teacher has the professional judgment to increase it. So last year, remember, we set that as the base.
Okay.
That hasn't changed.
All right. I don't think my question has to do with when we, and this is probably a longer discussion that needs to go on at this meeting for me to understand it. My understanding is one of the reasons we went to proficiency-based grading is because we didn't want to penalize kids for maybe not getting it as long as they had it at the end.
That's why we're using the scoring methodology we are. And that's why we allow the professional judgment of the educator to say if the kid is at a higher performance level than what the average of the last 10 assignments in that standard show, they are able to raise that. What we heard last year very strong through feedback was we need to know what the floor is. We need to know what the bottom, kind of like what's the base level, and then the teacher can have the professional judgment to raise it if they have evidence of a trend of the kid increasing their learning.
Okay. Then my second question is, how are you doing AP classes that are dual enrollment?
Sarah, you want that, or you...
Yeah.
No.
Sarah? You want me?
Yeah, you can take that one, Bill.
Okay, so and Elaine, jump in here if I've got this wrong, but if you're dual enrollment, it's a flexible pathways course outside of BFA. So it's scored based on that institution scoring methodology.
Meaning
pre-calc was done through CCV and was done with a percentage grade.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's accredited by CCV, not BFA.
So quarter one would be a half credit from BFA, and then quarter two would be a half credit through CCV.
Elaine, did you divide that somehow for something like pre-calc?
That's correct. The first half of, so semester one is a BFA credit and half a credit. And the second part is a CCV college credit. Yep.
And so they're using a percentage, not like a grade are they using CCV uses a 4.0 grade point average
That's
versus
right.
a 4.0 PPA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's back to 4. So there isn't a possibility, like last year, Bill, when you and I talked about it, because the 4.3 was chosen, there was a possibility that students could have graduated with a PPA greater than a 4.0 if they were averaging in an A+, which was a 4.3, according to some, I'm not sure where that came from, but so this year they're going to use a 4.0.
So in the way we bring in courses from colleges, because we bring those into the PPA, there's still the same bump in, I want to say, a 0.33. I don't have it right in front of me, Sue, so I'd have to go get that to get it exact, and maybe Elaine can help me. But there was an increase for college courses as we brought those into the PPA.
Yes, so the college courses are on a 4.33 potential, where
Which
we're a
ones though?
4.0.
Yeah, because like I know UVM, CCV, they're all on a 4.0. So if a student took a course at a college outside of Vermont that had a 4.3 grade point scale average, they would get a 4.3 average in if they had an A+.
All
Like
of the
UVM is
college, all of the college credits. It could be CCV, UVM, any college credit that a student of ours takes. If they have an A+, it comes in at a 4.33.
Now, why is that if UVM doesn't have a 4.33? They're on a 4.0 grade point average.
Bill?
So we set that constant across all. So we weren't going to try to parse by from one school to another. We wanted to make it standard across.
Are there any schools that do use a 4.3 that kids are taking classes from?
I don't know. I think we'd have to go look at that. And I mean, that's, if a student goes to another institution, that's a lot of their choice. There are some colleges that use more than just a 4.33 as well. They have wider GPAs that go up into the 5s and 6s. So it's just, you can't, there isn't a standard for all colleges.
No, I
And you
understand that,
can't
but
say, you can't say a grade at one is a more or less than another. I just don't think that's the place we should go.
well, that's why I was curious in terms of like, it seems like probably most of the students, maybe not, I might be totally wrong on this, that students take classes from universities and colleges outside of Vermont. I probably am wrong.
We didn't see a lot of them, Sue. We didn't see a lot. There were a few, but not a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, I know wanting us to include the the college courses in the BFA PPA, but a lot of our fellow high schools in Vermont don't include it.
Who wanted us to include it?
The community.
Oh, okay.
The BFA community, when we were doing the feedback last year. I actually believe in theoretically it shouldn't, but you know, we were working with the community and took feedback and input.
Mm-hmm. Well, it probably depends on who the student is and what they got in the course. You know, for some people, they're taking these college courses as an opportunity to just kind of get their feet wet. You know, maybe they get a 3, or maybe they get, you know, a 2.5, and they don't want it to hurt their grade point average, but they still want to go through the process of, you know, of the experience. But they don't want it to hinder them at the same time, because maybe their other high school, you know, grades are in the 3s and 4s, and they don't have to worry about that. So
yeah, Johanna, you must be talking to. I was just gonna say, you must be talking to my daughter, because you must be talking to my daughter who's a senior, because believe me, that's been a conversation in this household about her. She has APs and CCV and credits, and like, why can't this be in there? Why is it in there? And
right,
I want to count when it's good, but not when it's not. You know, that type of thing.
Absolutely. My question, Bill, is, or Brett, whomever wants to answer it, is when it comes to students who are, so these seniors this year, right, who are applying to schools right now. Some people are applying early action. So for some schools, it was as early as November 1st. And then all the way up to regular decision could be as late as February 15th, I think, as far as I know. My question is, these report cards that the students are getting, does the school, does BFA automatically send a semester report card to schools that seniors are applying to? Or did they, I mean, I can't imagine they would do quarters, because that's not like it's not really a full look at the course.
Right.
Or is that just not happening at all?
I can answer that for you.
Elaine just did this.
Okay, so colleges, we send and upload their transcript, which we've done, like you said, for a lot of students who have applied early action.
Sure, yeah.
And then those same colleges that students have applied early action want to see the Q1 grades, whether it's Q1 or whether it's a progress for semester 1, they want to see that. So those will go out in the next few days. In addition.
Okay. And
then it'll go out at the end of the semester as well.
Okay.
And then at the end of the year as a final transcript.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just didn't know. And it's basically if the school requests it, is what you're saying?
We will send them to every school that a student has applied early action to.
Okay. Early action or early decision?
Any early.
Any early.
Any early.
Joanna, I think they use action and decision in the same way.
No,
No.
decision.
No?
No, early decision is if you get in, you got to go there. Early action is just an opportunity to apply early.
And I should know that. I guess it shows you how long.
That's okay. I'm just
as
learning
kids now
everything.
get out of it. Yeah. I remember having that discussion 5 years
That's
ago.
okay.
Thanks for a reminder how old I am. All right, we'll take then a look. There's no more questions on this. We'll take a look at the transcript.
Okay.
And I know it's hard to see. It's just the way it needs to be laid out.
And if you could, Brett, if you could just let us know if there are any changes that you've made since last year to the transcript.
One of the things I want to say is I believe everything that was, I guess, promised or said last year from Bill and Sarah and others, that's been incorporated in this. I just want to be very clear. And so I think that's a real positive. If some people have a tendency to think, oh, that was last year. No, all that rolled over the conversation. And then we took a look at the improvement piece. But, Sarah, I don't know if you want to comment on this transcript piece, and you would have a better idea of last year into this year.
Yep. So as you can see on this transcript, every year has been converted to letter grades. So you have letter grades representing the average scores. We have cleaned up kind of the way that how the computer system is able to expand the boxes. It just looks more organized. I think it's cleaner than it was before. We have the flexible pathways box, which will allow for a number of different classes to go in there. Everything from dual enrollment or driver's ed, there's flexible pathways courses that will go in there. Anything that kids want to transfer in. And then you also have the transferable skill scores that you see in that box, and the honors down at the bottom. So it's really a condensed, really clean version of our transcript compared to last year.
The only thing, Sarah, that what I would add is that the honors and recognitions were not on there last year on the transcript, and we had transferable skills on the back side. So we were able to get it all on the front. And I think that really represents the level of the transferable skills with the courses that we're putting emphasis on throughout the system. So I think it's just a much better. We knew we needed the year to get through it because there was a lot of technology work on the backside for writing the reports, especially for the honors and recognitions, to get that down there.
Yeah. So is there a place that describes what honors and high honors are?
Elaine, do you want to take that? I don't know if we lost
I have to
Elaine.
press the button in the right place.
Yeah.
So on the profile, which every high school sends a profile along with transcripts, and that basically is the descriptor of everything. It explains the cohort of students. It explains our scale score and the situation for what the graduation requirements are. And so that information is all on there.
So
So
is
are
the
they,
decile ranking in there too, Elaine?
It's decile distribution.
I know, I said, is it also included in the profile?
Yes, a
Thank you.
decile. It's decile distribution instead of ranking. Yep.
Right.
and then, so the honors, is that honors and high honors program, is that, that's how they did on transferable skills? Yes or no?
So prior to this year, that it was based on transferable skills. For this year, it's based on, I believe, I'd have to look back at the handbook, but I believe it's on GPA.
Thank you.
That's a big
Yeah,
change.
Sarah, yeah, we are changing this year. We didn't feel we could do it last year, but we're changing to the Latin honor system. And I always scramble the order, so I'm not even going to say it, but maybe one of my colleagues could help me, but we're going to the Latin honor system that most high schools in Vermont use for honors.
It is detailed in parent-student handbook as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Other questions on the transcript or anything?
I have a quick question. Yeah, I see that, you know, to do the cumulative over, I think, multiple years, will you be going back through all 4 years and recalculating according to the current calculation, or do you take the previous years at face value from when it was calculated previously?
Sarah, you want that, or you want me to take that? How do you, or Elaine?
Everything has been recalculated. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah, everything was recalculated, Grant. We did all that last year. We reset everything. Okay. It was all set then. So we're not going back and changing anything. That's all been set.
Okay. And I had one more question about the quarter system. You know, I think BFA has now a long history of being flexible on scheduling. They've done semesters, they've done trimesters, now quarters. Are there any sort of risks or perceived risks with this that you need to be paying attention to? You know, is retention going to be a concern? What's the downside to this? Because it seems like it's a really good way to go.
I think overall it is. There's always a downside. I mean, a schedule can only meet your major objective. So I think it does better with proficiency and in-depth learning. I think you can better assess skills. You're going to cover less content. And I think that's a downside. However, as a history teacher who used to believe content was kind of king and quickly switched, it is more about skill development and more about continuity of learning and less about trying to cover prehistory to the Vietnam War. So I think it works especially well for that.
I would say another downside is for people taking AP courses, because those folks that are taking AP courses first semester won't be able to take their AP test until the spring. Is that correct?
You're correct. Yeah, they would move it. And so
Yeah.
While they do have an enrichment period every day the second semester, I want to be very clear.
Yep.
That will not substitute for a year-round class.
Right. I'm just, the social worker and the student advocate in me loves this. But for students who are taking AP courses and whatnot, it is more challenging.
Yeah. And
you want to follow up, Grant?
Well, I
go
just
ahead.
had a follow-up question on the content part of it. I know that you're doing the course essentially in half the calendar time, but it sounded like you were dedicating approximately twice the daily classroom time.
Not quite, not quite twice, but close.
Okay, so that's where that's where you just don't get the content, is that it's not quite double the day, per day, but it is half on the calendar.
Yeah, I think where it comes from, Grant, is the number of nights, if you want to look at it that way, that you could assign more work at night, that there's a point of attrition, even if you only have 4 courses versus 7, you can't, I don't think it's advantageous to double the amount of material every night, if that makes sense. Right. So it's easier to cover content from August to June just because you have X amount of nights of work. Yeah. However, you can do a better job in the class, I believe. But yeah,
that's a good point about nights. My most recent experience is, college, where you have credit hours that you try to balance against night hours. So I was coming at it from that perspective, but I can see how it'd be different in high school.
Yeah, and to go back also to what Joanna was saying, colleges, it's an interesting one. The AP seems to drive a lot of emotions. I don't mean that as a negative. I'm just saying it drives a lot of emotions when there's no college course that I'm aware of that goes all year. They're done next week.
Right.
And so it's an interesting one. That's a different discussion. I'm not even going to get into College Board and AP tests right now, but the college system ends next week.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever it's worth.
Yeah. Oh, so I just want to say one more thing. The college system ends, but they have the exam right away. That's neither
Right,
here nor
that's
there.
all.
I have one other question.
Oh,
Brett, you were
I think it
talking
is
about
here.
you feel like, especially for proficiencies, what we're building are skills, hopefully transferable skills, and maybe not getting to as much content. Have colleges made that switch yet?
Actually,
That they're looking for skills and not content.
Castleton University has been having that direct dialogue with their professors for several years now, but I don't want to say where they are with it. But they've had that direct conversation with that, and they've switched years ago how they're instructing their student teachers to mirror that. But I'll be honest, I don't know about UVM, even though my son went there. His classes are really mixed. Somewhere you have 2 large tests. I'm being very, very serious now. 2 large tests, that was his entire grade. Others allowed multiple performances that he knew he could make up and continue to improve. I don't think they have a uniform assessment or grading or scoring at UVM.
I think it's going to be important as we push forward that colleges are on board as well, because and I know that not as many colleges are looking at SAT scores and ACT scores, but I think that's looking at content, not necessarily skills. And I think that it's going to be really important that moving forward, that somehow this is addressed at the higher education level.
Yeah, it has been from the standpoint of there's not a college in New England or the Northeast that can claim that they're not aware of what proficiency looks like when it comes to admission. If so, I'm not aware of it. Because I think New England state has been working on this now for years, and I realize they're at various positions in the high schools, but yeah, it's tough. I won't talk about the college system any more than that, but to say, yeah, they're aware of it, or they should be.
Okay, let's.
Okay, anyone else before? And I want to open it up. Please do reach out to us. Please reach out to Elaine, to me, reach out to Sarah with also questions. This isn't the end of it. We just want people to know we're available for questions also.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say two things. Number one, that my daughter's a senior this year. She's had great access to her guidance counselor. She's had great access to her teachers, and it's been a positive experience so far. There hasn't been any issues with transcripts or with applying to any schools. So it has been remarkably smooth, and I definitely want to credit Bill for his leadership for last year in having to manage the crisis that he inherited. And I think he did a wonderful job. And my real big feedback about all of this is that I think that a lot has changed and a lot is to be celebrated. And I think that preemptively, I would love to see more of like this exact PowerPoint, you know, just to go out to more people so people are aware. It's a completely different fall experience for this year than it was for last year. And that's it's really pleasant as a parent, I can tell you that, and as a school board member. So thank you for all of that. And when I asked last week about an update on proficiencies, I want to be clear that I wasn't just targeting BFA, let alone BFA's principal or BFA's guidance department, because I think one thing that we learned and that Bill, I think, really made clear to us is that this is a really large process, and a process that includes all of our leadership team, and a process that's really supposed to be led by the superintendent and not by the principal of the high school, the one high school in our district. And so I want to make sure that this is something that's being discussed and processed throughout our SU and also communicated out through our SU, because it's not supposed to be top down. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll conclude with next steps, just so people know where we're going, because I think that's always important. So we'll continue to focus more on proficiencies and less on courses and credits. You know, this come up, I think Susan had mentioned it, you know, the idea of should proficiency be time bound? And the answer is no. You know, we're taking a look, getting rid of Carnegie units are really a thing of the past. Time, seat time equals credit. We're taking a look at skills. And that'll be a never ending improvement. I want to be clear that we're always going to look at this and how to make it better. So improving instruction and learning through multiple pathways, you're going to be hearing that phrase more and more. I know that for some people, that's a phrase 20, 30 years ago you might have heard, but it's really a key to success. All the staff, all the faculty worked last night or yesterday afternoon, excuse me, on tier 1 instruction. And so they met after school and we're taking a look at that, how to meet student needs in the classroom, a variety of needs. We have a multi-tiered system of support, and we're continuing to improve our educational support team as part of that multi-tiered system of support, of which tier 1 is a key element.
I just want to chime in there, Brett.
Yes, please do.
We've had some really great collaboration with the district office, with Alexis and with Andrea and Bill. We've been coming together weekly to talk about our EST process, to make sure that we have these multi-tiered systems of support that are up and running. And so that's a collaboration that's really been building and it's been getting stronger. And it's been really, really good for BFA. So.
Thanks. That's very important that they're attending sometimes multiple meetings a week. And also, you know, Andrea comes to the special ed meetings as well as our administrative meetings. So right now, our connection, you know, with Bill, Andrea, Alexis, no, this has been solid. So thanks, Darryl. I didn't want to leave that out. That's really important. And I think it's also worth noting that while you see these 4 areas, we will work on common assessments, not common teaching, but common assessments which just line up with proficiencies. What are the common targets that we're going to shoot for? What's the best instruction, how to get there? That's going to be up to the teacher, but it's a very healthy system that we're going to continue to work on that. It used to be called writing across the curriculum. There's writing workshop and common writing expectations. So we will continue to work and always take a look at excellence and never be ashamed of that word. So our daily goal is how do we actualize student potential? And if you look at the last slide,
Nope.
Just the one before that.
Back.
One more. Okay, it's actually not that. It's just the idea of, I know, now you're going to say, Brett, you just hit us with fluff. It's actually not fluff, a lot of this. This is the different ways students are engaged. I mean, we just talked about scoring, assessment, report cards, and transcripts. Very important to let everyone know where we're going. But this happens every day. And so for the 3 or 4 people that read my principal's blog, you can take a look at, okay, thank you. You can take a look at other, just a snapshot of what else is going on. So want to thank just everyone that's really making a very unusual year as positive as possible. And we're just going every day trying to improve things. So thank you, everyone. And thanks for the opportunity to present. We appreciate it.
I had a
Thank
quick
you,
question.
Brett and Sarah.
Could I just ask a quick question? I'm sorry if it's more for Brett. It's from the previous slide when you know, improving proficiency and not time bound. So what kind of activities will you continue to work on to keep improving the proficiencies? Is this something, I mean, I know it's daily, but I guess, is there examples that you're going to be doing this year to keep improving this and still having that baseline, I guess, to come up with a baseline across the board?
Yeah, one of the things our professional learning communities, while it was used on Tuesday for Tier 1 intervention, that actually deals directly with assessment from the standpoint of how do you meet multiple needs inside the classroom. I also, well, looking at the collaboration time that is built into the schedule. Departments meet to take a look at assessments and PLCs. That's really at the heart of it. How do you take a look at, is this best meeting the proficiency that you're targeting and giving that professional feedback? So that's why largely we've implemented the PLCs. That's just one venue to answer specifically, what are you doing every month? And while we use the bulk of the in-service time this year up front, that is something that we're taking a look at, how to gear more in-service time towards using this. So yeah, we've created, I'm sorry.
No. I can see how it'd be a not time bound, but I'd be curious how, I guess, going through the process and how you land on those specific transferable skills, or those how that's broken down. I mean, I know you can't answer it now, but just be curious to. Oh, you can? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So what you want to take a look at? Let's just take a look at math, just because it's an area that is most people can visualize versus, let's say, world history class. So if you take a look at calculus, and there's multiple calculus classes, multiple algebra classes, departments will be taking a look at, and they've already done some of this work, which is what are the common assessments that we say every BFA student will leave this class with? And then you state it clearly up front. Here's the skills, here's what we're going to be doing. How you get there, there's multiple ways. The PLC comes in when you start to look at the assessments. You say, hey, how did you do on that unit? That's what's going to actually drive that more precise measurement with assessments, if that answers it.
It's a start.
Oh, yeah, and I'm happy to talk. I can talk all day about this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll call you. I don't want to take it up, but I'd be curious how you know the process and how you land on those, because I think it's very important. And it sounds like you're on the right path. I guess I'm just curious of the process of beginning to end and how everybody agrees.
Yeah, we can set up. It's not like I'm a Hollywood person now. We can set up a Google Meet. And
sure.
So, yeah, so we can do that.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, thanks. And this is probably dumb. Tier 1 instruction, does that just mean regular teacher instruction every day? Okay.
Anna?
I have a question. So my question is about seniors and their transition, if they're choosing to go to college, if they're choosing to go on to some trade school. And my questions are around the proficiency-based grading in terms of like the last semester. So I guess my concern is, as much as I like the proficiency-based grading, my concern is around the students' ability to take and retake or pass in late assignments, so on and so forth. And is there any conversation around that in terms of when you would stop those practices to get them more prepared for their next year at a higher learning institution?
Yeah, no, that is a giant topic, which I'm happy to also present on the future with everyone. The reason it's a big topic, it involves many different ideas about how do you end up showing proficiency. So for asking, has it been just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I get it. I get it. I get the conversation. But what I don't know that all kids get, right? Just with their with their prefrontal cortex and the way their brains work, is that come September, when they go into their next level of higher learning, they're not going to be able to hand in an assignment 2 or 3 weeks late, or they're not going to be able to do, give it kind of their best shot on one assignment, because they're going to be able to come back and redo that again. It's more about the timing piece. It's not about the assessment piece, because I believe in the assessment piece.
Brett, can I just give you a little help there?
Oh, no, I like this topic, so go ahead.
Yeah, so last year we worked on that, Johanna, at BFA by departments. It's set in the handbook about time to retake and assignments. It's not an indefinite period anymore.
Okay.
Each teacher had to declare in their syllabus when we started posting those during the second semester of last year what their retake policy, and it had to be in alignment with their department, which had to be in alignment with the school.
Now it's school-wide, Bill. So
Yeah.
school-wide, the retake policy is 2 weeks, and that is in the student handbook.
And my only question is, does it get more stringent, maybe their senior year or their second semester senior year, just to kind of help tighten things up a little bit for them? It's, and I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, just asking.
Yeah, and I need to avoid what I normally do, which is to keep talking on this stuff. But yeah, so maybe we'll put up, but the bar is not once. The bar exam is not just held once. I'm just, right? I mean, there's multiple.
Absolutely.
There's multiple. So, but the topic's good and always worth a conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate the thoughts behind it. Thank you.
And I do think certainly once you get to college, especially in some programs, it's one and you're done, meaning if you flunk your advanced occupational theory class by getting less than a 77, I'm out for the year. I'm taking a full year off until I can. So I appreciate what Joanna is saying, because it doesn't always work that we've got multiple opportunities to retake. I'll shut up now too.
I don't know if that was meant for me, the last comment, Susan, but I will also.
No, it was meant for me. It was meant for me.
I'm just kidding.
We could go on. We could go on, but I'll shut up now.
Yeah, so maybe we'll do a 3-way Google Meet, and then the 3 of us can bandy this about. So thanks, everyone. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brett.
Okay, moving on to item 8A, warrants. I would look for a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as individual board member authorization of their signature on these warrants.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr.
Second.
Ford.
Second.
Jack, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, 9-0. Kevin, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Jeff.
Thank you. And then board announcements. Do we have any board announcements tonight? Steve,
Can I say thanks to whoever took the pictures and the proficiency? I saw my kid in one of them, so that was nice.
That was coincidental.
And the only announcement I have is I'm in quarantine and they didn't give me the presidential suite.
Sorry, Al.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Agenda items for future meetings. It's that time of the year where we're going to be busy with budgets and negotiations and superintendent searches. So I think we'll have our hands full. And now would look for a motion to go into executive session under 1 VSA 313A3, the appointment of a public officer.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you, Al. Who had the second?
Nina.
Nina, thank you. And that would be to include the superintendent, Kevin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Nilda, you're in favor, right? Okay, so the ayes have it 9-0. Okay, we are now out of executive session. And I would look for a motion based on the candidates' qualifications and interests to appoint Lauren Dees Erickson, Nicole Cattell, and Carrie Lambert to the Superintendent Search Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Joanna, thank you. Nilda, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous, 9-0. Okay, seeing as how we're at the end of our agenda, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving. Bye, guys.
Happy
Everybody.
Thanksgiving,
Take
everybody.
care. Happy Thanksgiving,
Bye.
everyone.
Stay
Be
healthy
safe.
and well.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.